If a webinar falls in the forest and no one hears it, did that webinar even exist? Everybody, welcome to the On24 Webinar Best Practices series. My name is Mark Bornstein. I'm the VP of Marketing and Chief Webinar here at On24. I want to thank all of you for coming today. How are you doing? Is everybody okay? Are you getting out? Are you enjoying the world? How are the kids? How's the dog? How are the cats? Did you go to the doctor? Did you do that thing? Did you sign up for that class? Are we good? Is everybody feeling all right? What are we drinking? Oh, we should talk about that. We'll get there in a moment. Anyway, I'm so excited to be here with all of you because today is one of our most popular webinars that we do every year. We're going to be talking all about keys to driving webinar registration. It is one of those pain points that I guess stays with us forever. It never really goes away. And this is a presentation that evolves every year. And every year we add new ideas and new concepts. And so for those of you who may have been with us last year, there's some stuff you've seen. I got some new tips as well. I'm really excited to be sharing all of that with you today. But before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. The On24 webinar console you're looking at right now can be completely customized. There are windows. Some of them you can move around. You can stretch your slide window open, make it larger if you like. I'm going to show you some examples and pictures and things like that. But there's also all kinds of engagement tools throughout this experience, and they are all represented on the bottom toolbar. I'll go over them very quickly from left to right. Media player to control your volume, a slide button to open and close your slide window. Leave that open. Then there's a speaker bio if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn afterwards. Every time we do this, I get a million of you reaching out to me. We have some great conversations, so please do, say hi. After that, there is the chat with Mark or Q&A button, as we call it. And for those of you who know me, I don't use the Q&A button like most people. We're not going to do just 5 minutes of quick Q&A at the end. This is a conversation. Start talking to me right now. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what your challenges have been for driving registration. And most importantly, should we do what we always do, people? Do you know what we always do? What are we drinking? What is everybody? Are you hydrated? Do you have tea? Do you have coffee? I am drinking some Japanese sencha. It is amazing. I've got my Kyushu here. I had this sent in. I love this tea. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, so I'll keep the conversation going throughout this entire experience. I'll also push a couple of polls out as well. Okay, after the Q&A button, there is our content bar where you can download today's slides and also get all kinds of extra free complimentary content that we've got. You have to go in there to check it out. Then there is a link to next month's webinar in this series. And boy, are we going from one extreme to another. So today we're talking about how to just drive people to register for your events. Next month, we're going to be talking about how to optimize your digital experiences for better sales conversions. So we're going to go from registration to closing. Wow, that was fast. And it's not just going to be about webinars. I'm going to talk about basically how to optimize all your experiences, from webinars to virtual events to content pages, everything. We're going to be expanding the purview of this program. We've been, for years and years and years, we've been talking about nothing but webinars. Well, we're going to start to, pull out a little bit and talk about all kinds of digital experiences. So click there, register for next month. It's going to be amazing because don't we all need to convert more effectively? Yeah. So go ahead. You're pressing that button. It's right there. It's right there, I think. Maybe there. Anyway. Okay. After that, there's a button for reactions. We've added that at On24 recently. So you can put your heart emojis or your thumbs up, or if I give you a tip and you're like, oh, boo, that was no good, Mark. I don't like that one. I don't know. Anyway, then after that, if you're really loving what you see and you want to learn a little bit more about the On24 platform, we've got options. You can schedule an appointment and talk to an On24 consultant. No sales pitch, just happy to talk to you about marketing or whatever it is you want to talk about, and we can share with you a little bit about what we do. Or if you just want to take a demo and love this experience and want to see a demo of the On24 webinar marketing platform, there is a demo that you can take, and it will show you all of the different features and functionalities, but also just the great value that you get from using the platform. That's it. I don't pitch. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And then finally, on the far right, a couple of things. There's a survey. Would love to get your feedback at the end of today. What do you think about this webinar? And more importantly, we want to know how we can help you more effectively. And there might be a few treats in there as well. So check it out. You'll know what I'm talking about. Then on the far right, if you have any technical issues whatsoever, there's a help button. You can press that and get immediate service. Okay, whoo, a lot of stuff. But what do I always talk about? I always tell people, don't just put engagement tools in the webinar. Do housekeeping. Take the 2 minutes to let people know what is there. Oh my God, you're getting free bonus content, people, free bonus best practices. But what's the point of having a link to a demo if you don't tell them what's there? That, oh, hey, there's a link to a demo. You should try it. It's cool. It is a cool demo. Anyway, so enough of that. Are you guys ready to talk about keys to driving webinar registration? It is always one of the most popular topics, and it's a pain point that sort of, like I said, never really goes away. And I really do believe, though, that we have more tools, we have more technologies, but to me, what this is really about is just being good marketers. And, people are always looking for a silver bullet, a new tool to help them drive better registrations, when in fact, all it is just good marketing that you need. So this is what you're going to need for today's presentation: a pad, a piece of paper, and a pen. Remember those things, because I'm going to be giving you a ton of super practical tips and tricks. This is not going to be some high level stuff. I'm going to be going really, really detailed. I thought I'd start by actually pushing out a poll and bringing you right into the conversation and asking all of you, how have your registrations reacted since, wait a minute, here we go. Since the pandemic, have your registrations gone way up, slightly higher, about the same, lower, or hey, we don't deliver webinars, I'm just here to listen to you go on and on about tea forever? So you can vote in the poll. Click right there on the poll and let us know, since the pandemic, have your webinar registrations gone way up, slightly higher, about the same, lower, or we don't deliver webinars? And let's just see where we all are. I actually have no idea where this will go. I've never delivered this poll before. Don't know what you guys are going to say. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and it should be a lot of fun. Anybody? Let's see. Anybody drinking anything good? Kenneth is drinking a mango bubbly sparkling water. No idea, Kenneth. Okay, that's a thing. Somebody listed as undefined as having a G&T. You can't have a G&T while I'm presenting. That's not fair. I'm drinking. Oh, okay. After the webinar, let's all meet and then we can have that G&T. Very nice. Loads of ice. Super hot. Okay. Hi in the UK, everybody. That's next from the UK. Let's see. Hard cider from Ian. Michelle is having an ice black ginger peach tree. Wow. Bubbly water. Hydrating well. Tea it is. Mango lemon pineapple refresher from Dunkin'. Lydia went to Dunkin' to prepare for today's thing. Christy's having strawberry basil lemon. Okay, whatever. Nobody's having sencha. Nobody but me. That's fine. I get it. All right, so let's jump in and talk about, first of all, I want to spend a minute talking about why this is so important. And this was important before the pandemic. It's maybe even more important after the pandemic. There are so many challenges to getting people to sign up for your webinars or to sign up for anything these days. Let's face it. It starts with something that I've always talked about. I think I've been giving a version of this slide for 10 years, but the modern business calendar isn't getting any better, right? Like all of I don't know about you, but my Outlook is a disaster. It's like every minute is filled up with overlapping meetings, and the idea that you're going to, invite me to attend an hour-long webinar, and I'm going to look on my calendar and find some white space for that, or want to see your webinar enough to want to move my schedule around, that's a big ask. And that's what we're facing when we're asking people to sign up for our webinars. Your invitation, that you are sending to your prospects may be the third, fourth, fifth, 10th invitation they've gotten this hour. It may be the 100th invitation they've gotten this day. I am inundated with invitations to attend webinars. And maybe it's because I watch so many that I'm on all these mail lists. But, excuse me, it's a lot. And so there's a lot of competition for the time and attention of your prospect audience. And somehow we have to find a way to stand out from all of that, the deluge of invitations that are coming in. That's a huge hill to try to climb. And so what I always say, and I've been saying forever, is that there is an art and a science to driving registration. And it is all encapsulated in this statement, which is you have to sort of catch your prospects at a moment of receptivity with a message that resonates. So there's these two things. When I read your promotional email, when I see your promotional tweet, what's going on in my life and in my head at that very minute matters so much. I may be going crazy, super busy, super stressed out, got a lot of stuff going on, and I may not even click. I may just see, recognize that it's not somebody I know, or that I know it's an advertisement of some kind, and I'm not even going to open it. Or maybe I'm I'm doing okay, but I'm fairly busy, and I open it for a second. I'm like, I don't have time to look at this. Or maybe life is good. I've got a little clear space in my head and a little clear space, and I'm doing my email, and I read your email, and now it's up to the message. Did it resonate? Is it capturing my attention? Is it hitting me on an emotional and an intellectual level? Is it making me want to click register now? That's a lot. That is a lot. And honestly, let's face it, because of marketing automation, because of the digital revolution, there's more spam, there's more emails than ever before. And one thing we all know, especially for those of us that are demand gen marketers, conversion rates, click rates, open rates, all of that is going down. And it's not necessarily always your fault. It's all of our fault, because marketing automation has turned email into a weapon. And maybe poor choice of words, but you know what I mean. The only thing we're getting better at is unsubs. We're getting lots of unsubs, because the more emails you send, the more unsubs you're going to get. That is a challenge. Not only that, but email viewing time is almost instantaneous, right? You literally have seconds to try to make your point, even when somebody opens the email. How are we going to be successful given that mountain to climb? How the heck, Mark, based on what you just said, I think I should just forget being a marketer. It sounds too hard. Well, there is a lot we can do. And honestly, it is not too high a peak for us to summit. We can do this. So let's go back to the poll. I'm kind of curious, dying to see what you said. So I asked you, since the pandemic, have your webinar registrations gone? Way up. 15% of you, almost 16% of you said way up. 34% of you said slightly higher. 22% of you said about the same. 21% slightly lower. 6% of you here for the tea conversation. But it's interesting. So I think that feels about right. For one thing, all of our marketing has become digital. So you're probably doing more webinars. You're probably, promoting more experiences than ever before. And this is now the accepted way in which we're going to be marketing in the future. So I think people are sort of getting used to that, acclimated to that. But clearly there is still a lot of room and a long way to go. And so I think we need to figure out, how do we mesh the art and the science? This is what we're going to do now. So keys to driving webinar registration. I even got a little bonus for you at the end. It all starts with email. And I spend most of my time talking about email promotions in this particular webinar. I've looked at many, many studies. I've done 1 million polls on this, and I don't even do them anymore, because the answer is always the same. email promotions for most companies of every size and every industry still represent anywhere from 70 to 99.99% of registrations. It is how we drive registration primarily. I know there are exceptions, and some of you are driving all of your registrations from social, for instance. Maybe if you're B2C, that might be more applicable, but in the B2B world, for the most part, everybody is just driving registrations with their email promotions. And so I'm going to focus a lot around best practices on that. And then we'll talk about some other areas. I'll briefly mention a few things about social that I think are important. And we'll talk about some other stuff as well. But I'm going to really focus on email promotions. So there are a lot of best practices that we have come to know and that we have worked and massaged. And there's some basic things and then there are things that we just keep adding on. And every year I come up with a couple of new ideas that I sometimes get from talking to people like you, or sometimes working with our demand gen team here. We're always looking to improve. It starts with, let's just look at the entire life cycle of creating your webinar promotions. It starts with the title of your webinar. And I don't know about you guys, but I get invited to a lot of webinars that have terrible titles. And it is amazing the effect that a title can have on you opening an email if the title is in the subject line, or you just seeing that title in bold in the body of some text and going, yeah, nope. For me, I think the biggest mistake is that titles often feel too much like marketing. And they're filled with buzzwords, and they are, you don't know what you're walking into. You don't know what it is. It feels like a sales trap in many situations. It's not helpful. And what really effective titles to webinars do is they let you know that you're going to learn something. So this is the first important tip that I want to give you. A really good webinar title tells you that you're going to learn something, that you're not just walking into a pitch, unless that's what it is. If they're coming to a bottom of funnel webinar where you're going to be demonstrating your software, then it's going to be like 10 ways in which On24 software will transform your marketing. Then it's okay. But really good webinar titles will feel actionable. How to optimize this, 10 common mistakes, 5 best practices for that, how to drive this, building your whatever, benchmarking your that, 7 secrets for successful whatever. These are action-oriented titles that tell you you're going to learn something. They let you know that that it is a teachable moment. And that's what really great webinars are. From a high-level thought leadership webinar to a mid-funnel positioning webinar, all the way down to a bottom-of-funnel demonstration, every webinar is about imparting information and teaching and helping you learn or understand something, whether you're just learning best practices like you guys are today, or you're coming to that demo that you can sign up for right down there, where you're going to, here's how On24 webinars can change your life. Like, whatever it is, we're there to help you learn something. And that's what a great webinar promises. So, be careful with those titles. Don't make them feel so pie in the sky. I think a lot of people make the mistake of trying to come up with a title that feels like it's going to boil the ocean. One of the most important moments in the success of your webinar has nothing to do with your webinar. It's your subject line. And a really effective subject line writing is one of the true art forms that content marketers, I think, have sort of lost track of. And so writing a great, listen, if nobody opens your email, who cares what's in it? Like, however good you wrote that email doesn't make a difference, because however good you wrote that email, I don't think that's good grammar. Anyway, so really effective subject lines have some of the following qualities. They may be disruptive. They may be disruptive. They may upset the status quo, meaning like, I need to challenge your mindset about something, right? Everything you thought about driving registration is wrong. Register now and learn why. They may address a specific pain point or a need. And I think that's typically what companies tend to do. How to avoid the registration challenge or whatever, or how to drive more registrations. Okay, straightforward. It works. And I think that's why most of us do it again and again and again. The promise of change, I think, is a really great way to get somebody's attention in a subject line. 10 reasons why, your registration programs or your promotions will never be the same, or whatever. Like if you promise them that something is going to change, that you're going to make something bigger or better or improve, they will open. And I think that's a really effective methodology. A good subject line may just tease you a little bit. You may not know exactly what it means, but it makes you want to open. Great subject lines are short, they're concise. They will read well. They're phonetically interesting. I'm going to give you some stupid human tricks today. Even if they're reading to themselves, they don't say it out loud, and your subject line is 10 top tips for telling whatever, it works. I don't know why. There's actually research on this. It's weird. And then personal. Like one thing is when somebody says, hey, I wanted you to see this, you don't know what it is, but you're probably going to open it. And so there are some, the ways in which you can sort of personalize those subject lines to actually try to get people to open. It works best with plain text emails. I'll talk about that in a moment. A/B test your subject lines constantly. I know that A/B testing is something that marketers always say they do, but they really don't, not nearly enough. And so if you're going to have a 4-email cadence in your promotional cycle of one webinar, then you should have a different subject line every single time, and you should be testing them with every drop. So what we'll often do is we'll do 2 subject lines for every email, and we'll do another email with 2 different subject lines, and then another email with 2 different subject lines, and then we'll take the winner of all of them, or maybe the 2 winners, and put them up against each other. We're learning along as we go. Don't stop testing. You're not going to get better at this if you don't test, and if you're just going on your intuition. Well, we had a lot of registrations that might be working. Was it the content? Was it the subject line? You don't know. Please never stop A/B testing those subject lines. Okay, now let's look at the anatomy of the email itself. So there are all kinds of trends when it comes to emails, right? We go through these trends where we're doing big, bold, banners with high-res photography, then image banners, then no banners, then thin banners, then wide banners. There's no right or wrong way to do that, okay? I'm not gonna tell you how to build the banners. You want to go with what your brand aesthetic is, and your brand team is managing all of that. But whatever it is, there are some basic best practices that we need to follow. You want to make sure that you can certainly experiment and find the banner types that work best, but do note that what works now may stop working after a year if you've been doing it for so long. So you want to keep refreshing that anyway. Make sure that you have the title of your event in the banner, maybe the times, like a little relevant information so that people know what it is the moment they see it. Have a button in the banner. I'll talk about buttons in a moment. Your first line. So the most important moment in the success of your webinar is your subject line. It has nothing to do with your webinar itself. The second most important moment in the success of your webinar is the first line of copy. Because what people do, and we've done testing on this, heat mapping, to see how people read, they kind of go like this. They go, and you've got seconds flat. And that first line of copy better grab. A lot of people wait. I'm going to try to build a long narrative, a long story. And then in the third paragraph, I'll get to the point where I'm going to tell you about my great webinar. You do not have that kind of time. Get to the moment immediately. You've got one line to grab their attention, right? So, in the age of relentless email spam and digital noise, how do you get people to register for your webinars and events? That's it. I'm not wasting time. I'm just going to get right to the point. Well, on Wednesday, we've got a webinar to help you figure that out. That's it. That's how much time you have. Don't stop with the many paragraphs. Stop with the big paragraphs. 1 sentence, 2 sentences. A great email will have maybe 2 paragraphs or maybe 1 sentence in a paragraph. That's it. The first line must grab. It must say everything. Don't wait. Not too many words. Keep it clean, short and to the point. Bullets are great. Use bullets, though, to tease out what people will learn. Bullets, besides the title of your webinar, are the other way in which people will figure out, am I going to get pitched? Is this going to be fluffy, or am I going to actually learn something? And a lot of people won't even read your content. They just look at the bullets and see, like, what am I going to learn? What are you going to tell me in this webinar? So those bullets are important. Keep them clean, and don't be afraid to give away some of what you're going to tell them. It's okay. It matters. And then finally, have a single line that shows the value, the closer, the clincher, the cleanup batter that says, it's time to find your audience. Register now, right? Have that clincher, that closer, and then make a clear register now button. Let's talk about the buttons. You want clickable places everywhere in your emails. Clickable, clickable, clickable. Everything needs to be clickable. Okay, I see some great questions coming in, by the way. So in your banner, you're going to have your register now button in your banner. But you know what? Some people are banner clickers. We've done heat mapping. I know what this looks like. Some people just click in the banner. So make the entire banner clickable. And you're like, well, then why have the button? Because some people just like to click buttons. So put a button in there, have the banner in there, make it all clickable. Then where you list the title of your webinar, make sure that's clickable. Then you want to have that cleanup message, that closing message, find your audience now, register now, that's clickable. Then right beneath it, giant button, save your seat, save your spot, register now, whatever, that's clickable. You need as many clickable spaces because all kinds of humans in different ways. Some people are bottom clickers, some people are top clickers, left clickers, right clickers, banner clickers, button clickers. People are weird. So you just want to make sure that everything is clickable. Okay, let's have some tea. Oh, we're in it now. You guys feeling it? I know some of you are like, wow, we wasted a lot of time in the beginning. Talk about what everybody's drinking and going over your housekeeping. Now we're getting into it. All right, hard code the registration button. You know how when you open when you get an email and you have to hit download now to see the entire email? Some people who know you and have established relationship, if the button is there, they may just click register now. So just do it. It's just a basic best practice. Somebody just asked me, Sissy, I'm sorry, just said, do you track the different buttons to find out what is most effective? Yes, we actually can do that. And hopefully you're doing that too. And that is another way in which you can learn how and why people click. And we find that people are clicking all different buttons. It's crazy. And that is why we make everything clickable. Great question, Sissy. Let's see. Anna says, do you recommend placing 3 of the same CTAs in one email? That's multi-reg. Sure. I think more and more people are moving to multi-reg these days because we're running more webinars and events than ever before. It's okay to do that. Just know that your conversion from registration to attendance is going to go down a little bit. If people sign up for 5 things as opposed to just 1, then it's easy to sign up for a lot of things, but they're probably not going to come to them all. So your reminder strategy needs to really get amped up. Really good questions. Let's see. So Brooke asks about pre-headers. Pre-headers, very much, I like pre-headers and subject lines to sort of have a relationship to each other. So I'll often have a pre-header that says, why is nobody coming to my webinar? And then the subject line will be, 10 ways to transform your webinar registrations, register now. I like the way they can play against each other. Some people don't use pre-headers and subject lines in a way that's connected. I think they work really well when they're connected. Really good question, Brooke. Okay, now we get to the fun stuff. We're now entering the part of this presentation where you're all gonna start to hate me. Because I'm gonna ask you to do more work. And I'm sorry, and maybe it's you or maybe it's your content marketing team. I don't know who writes your emails, but the fact of the matter is that I think a lack of work and laziness I'm not calling you lazy, is where we go wrong most of all. The biggest thing is don't keep sending the same email. I saw a couple of you were like, oh, sorry, Mark. Yeah, that we do that. Right? Anybody who wants to be super brave, go in the Q&A and say, yeah, we do that. Sorry, we do that. Listen, I mean, if it didn't work the first time, it's probably not going to work the second time. And yes, a lot of people won't open that email. So if they open it the second time, that, I understand that logic. But for everybody that opened it and it didn't register, why would they respond to it a second time? So keep mixing it up. Every single time you deliver an email, it should be a different way to tell your story. And it gives you an opportunity to try to capture their attention in a different way. Every email should come at you from a different perspective, maybe talking about the speakers, maybe talking about the content or different ways in which we're going to be talking about the content. And then mix up the styles too. maybe plain text, then maybe some, HTML, then a plain text, then an HTML, then a plain text. That's what we do. We mix and match them a lot. I'm going to talk about plain text in a moment because I can't say enough about plain text emails. I think they're so important. Rochelle says, yeah, we used to do that, but we've learned from you. Oh, started mixing it up. Oh, thank you, Rochelle. That was very nice. Michelle says, guilty, laugh out loud. I know. See, it's just too easy, right? We're going to create the best email ever and we'll send it 5 times. It's just diminishing returns. Anyway, so we need to create a cadence where it differentiates every single time. And so let's talk about the plain text email because it's one of my favorites. By the way, we have a million webinar series and we've got an amazing team of content marketers that are writing all the promotions. Shout out to Jade. Hey, Jade, who's writing a lot of our emails. I write all the emails for this series just because I like to keep skin in the game. Yeah, I'm a VP. I don't have to do that, but I do because I like to keep those muscles. And I love writing emails, and plain text emails in particular are great because they have that personal appeal. And when I write a plain text email, you make it feel like I'm writing, it's literally an email from me to you. So there's a lot of I and you and we in it. Keep it super short, maybe no bullets because bullets look like a promotional email. Set up an alias. Don't actually send it from your email address or you're going to get a denial of service attack that will destroy you for days. And just try to be human. Don't sound promotional. Just try to write it like you're talking to a friend that you're trying to help out. Say, hey, you know what? I got something that's going to help you out a lot, and it can make a huge difference. Be creative in your email writing. And if it's not you, talk to your content marketers. You can do anything depending on your industry. I know there's some of you are in very serious industries, but it doesn't mean you can't be creative. I do some crazy, wacky stuff when I write emails. Here's just one example from last year, I think it was. I said, hi there, because you get so many promotional emails, here's a few seconds of your day back, blank space. Then please come to Keys to Driving Web Administration. It's gonna be great, really. That's it. Well, guess what? Those types of emails work really well. Here's another one I did that was completely ridiculous. Hey, it's me, the promotional email. I wanted to tell you a secret. You know those webinars and events you've been promoting? I think we can do it better. Join my friend and VP of Marketing on 24, Mark Bornstein, I'm sorry, who will tell you how to do this. And I know it sounds silly, but guess what? This one email got 650 registrants. Why? Because it didn't sound like the robotic, droning deluge of emails that people get every day. How can you be different? How can you be different when you talk about your experiences in your webinars? How can you be different? Find ways to stand out and do it in the context of whatever your industry is. It can be more professional, it can be more zany and fun, it doesn't matter, but you can still find ways to be human. Okay, here is some other tricks that we can do. Oh my gosh, I want to be more interactive with you guys, but we're so much content to cover off on. It's crazy. I did see, I saw a really good question just come in a second ago, though. Okay, a couple things. Haley asks, will you please explain the difference between HTML and plain text? Well, HTML has the banner. It looks like a promotional email. So it's done in HTML, but it's got a banner, it's got the copy blocks, it may have other graphical content in it. Whereas plain text email is just essentially like an email written from my Gmail to you. That is the primary difference. I think it was Sissy. I can't find your email, but it was a good one, which is, well, what if you write an email and it does really, really well? Why wouldn't you run it again? Oh, there it is. Yeah. What if it's a really successful email for openers? Should you change the subject line but keep the email content? Here's what I like to do. If you're only sending 1 or 2 or 3 emails, I would still change it up. But if you do a lot of emails and you're promoting over a long period of time, yeah, you may want to run that one again, but towards the end, separate them as much as you can. And yes, do change the subject line, unless it was the subject line that made the difference. See, it's really difficult to tell. All right, really good question though, and you caught my attention on that one. Okay, on the fence email. So what is an on the fence email? Another thing that we started doing recently, and it's worked really well for us, I wanted to share with all of you. There are a lot of people at the end of an email cadence. So maybe you're promoting a webinar for 3 weeks, and you drop 3 or 4 emails, and you've got a number of people that clicked and registered, but you have a lot more people that clicked and did not register. So you know there's interest. They were interested enough to click, but they didn't register. So they're on the fence. And we also call this the creepy email, because we don't tell them, hey, we saw you clicked and didn't register. That would be creepy. But there is a way to try to like say to them, hey, you know what? We know this is important to you. Like, and you create an email just for them. Look, I know this is really important to you. Driving registration has never been more important. You know, and I think this works really well as a plain text. So we do this every time. And some of you have probably gotten this email in the past. What did I say in this one? I think I said I wanted to personally reach out to you about our upcoming webinar. I know it's important, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, here's just 2, 3 reasons more why I think you should attend. A personal plea, just, you know, acknowledging that this really matters to them and letting them know what they're going to learn. Like, this is why we think you should attend. And they can work really well. They can be really effective. Okay, here's a new one I added just for you guys today. Brand new, hot off the presses, because we just started doing it a few months ago and we're in love with it. It's kind of fun. Some of you maybe got this email like when I went on the air, which is we're now doing the webinar has started emails. We literally take a screenshot in real time of me presenting now, and a whole bunch of you got a webinar like 5 minutes in saying, hey, the webinar is live, come on in. Now, we used to do this sometimes just for people that registered and we're not attending, or maybe we don't know, but we, you know, as a reminder, a final reminder. But now we started actually doing it as a last shot to prospects. Hey, you know what? This thing is happening right now. Why don't you just dip in? And so far, it's working pretty well. The screenshot, I think, matters because you can see it. Oh, look, this looks cool. Hey, look, there's that guy. He's talking. And there's some magic in there. There is some magic. We've just started experimenting with it a lot recently in the last few months. And shout out to Rhythm and our demand gen team. We're having a lot of fun playing with these things. So, you know, something for you guys to try, but I think it could be really good, not only for people who registered, but for prospects too. Maybe you can try it with some small sends. We recreate those promotional emails for different geos. I noticed there's a lot of you today from around the world, and I want to welcome all of you. It's great to see all of our friends from Europe and Asia. And so, you know, don't be afraid to repurpose and promote around the world, because in our new digital world, whether they're watching it live or on demand, you know, everything is available to everybody. Create webinar, pre and post webinar emails for sales. I know it's a lot of work. I've already asked you to go from writing 1 email to writing 4 or 5, and then, oh, the on the fence email, that's another one. Oh, and then we're live now. Oh, that's another one. And then now you want me to write sales emails? Well, yeah, we do, because you know, your sales teams have relationships with a lot of prospects and they're already talking to them, and maybe they'll open those emails as opposed to a promotional email. So we write plain text emails for our sales teams to say, hey, we've got an upcoming webinar. I know you and I have been talking about some stuff. This one might be good for you. And they can customize it if they want, but we write some nice prefab ones for them. And then after the webinar is over, we do the same thing with an on-demand link. And you'd be amazed at how many registrations we drive from doing those. It is incredible. Personalization. So here's another really good one. What, more? You want me to write more emails, Mark? Yeah, I know. Look, I'll go on and on and on. I'll tell you how to write like 50 emails for one webinar. These are all just ideas, and you can try them all, and you don't have to do them all at one time. But one thing that works really well, this is a really nice secret, maybe it's not a secret, is you have previous campaign responders. So let's just say you had this really great ebook and 500 people downloaded the ebook. Well, maybe you're delivering a webinar that kind of connects in some way to that ebook. You can then send a customized email to everybody that downloaded that ebook. And now maybe it's, you know, you're going from an email database list of thousands to 500, but that's okay. You're establishing a relationship. Hey, you know us, you downloaded our ebook recently. Remind them of the value of the content. the ebook where we talked about how to do this and this, where you learned how to do this and this and this. And because you like that, we think you might like this. Really, really effective. Really, really effective. Now, these are smaller numbers. Your registration percentages will go way up, but obviously it's a much smaller segment size, but still, it's another way. You're just with all of these tips and tricks I'm giving you, you're adding little bits and pieces, okay? You're adding little bits and pieces. It works. And by the way, these work really good as plain text emails too. So just more ideas. The more you segment your database, the more effective you can be. We have all been guilty of basically just creating a single cadence and sending it to everybody in our database or most everybody in our database, and that's it. But the more you segment your database, the more personalized you can make those emails. And sometimes we'll have one webinar where, so maybe I'm delivering this webinar for driving webinar registration, but if I create a separate email for people that are just in pharma or just in life sciences or just in financial services, which are big, industries for us, or tech, and say, you know what, in financial services, it's getting harder and harder to get people to, to capture the attention of your audience. Well, I'm going to be talking all about how to drive webinar registration. Just that little bit of personalization can make a big difference. Okay, I just increased my registration by 1%, by 2%. It matters. Maybe by use case. Maybe you want to do it by persona. For demand gen marketers, driving registration has never been more important. For content marketers, the art and science of writing a great promotional email. Okay, I just made that a little more personalized for each of those two personas. And now I've just increased my registration by another 0.5%, by another 1%, by another 2%. See where I'm going with this? Oh, customers and prospects. Hey, as a great customer of On24, you know how hard it is to capture your audience. Oh, for prospects, I'm writing something different from a different perspective. It goes on and on and on and on. And I know you're all going, oh, stop, Mark, stop. Just stop, pause, drink your tea. Okay. Yeah, moment of zen, right? There's no end, there's no limitation to what we can do. But the more you personalize, the more effective your promotions will be. I told you guys, get out the pens and the paper. Really great questions coming in. Rochelle says, we found really, really great success with having our sales teams invite their customers, right? I think that's fantastic. I think it's been a great tip. Lydia loves the Live Now email idea. She's going to pitch it to her team immediately. Yes, see, we're winning hearts and minds already. Kayla says, our last Live Now email was really successful. See, so another data point that it actually works. Let's see. Hey, okay, so undefined, who I also believe is the person drinking a gin and tonic right now, said, hey, Mark, I just dipped into this webinar, proof that it works. Rhythm, I hope you're paying attention out there because clearly it's working. So I'm pretty excited about this. We're going to talk. Hey, Laura's in here. So someone setting up that on the spot. Is somebody setting that up on the spot at a specific time? Can you give us some how-tos on that? Hi, Laura. Good. Laura's family. Yeah, so one of our DG people is standing by. They take a screenshot of me live as I'm presenting, and then they immediately place it into the into the email cadence and pop it out. It's not automated. It is actually something we're doing manually, but it only takes one human being a few minutes to do, so it's not hard. But yeah, good question. I love it. I'm seeing all these names that I recognize. It's like we're a big family now. Jeffrey says, I love this concept. Clearly, this is the big winner of today's presentation. All right, let's keep going. I said I wasn't going to see how I did the Q&A throughout instead of just waiting till the end. It's much better. Promotional cycles. For those of you who came to the webinar benchmarks, you've seen this already. I just want to reiterate a couple of things. The longer your promotional cycle, the better off you're going to be. It matters. So we have discovered that 17% of all webinar registrations came 15 days or more in advance of the webinar. That means if you're giving yourself more than 3 or 4 weeks to promote your webinar, you stand an opportunity to dramatically increase the size of your event. Now, I know a lot of you are running a lot of webinars and you only have a limited amount of drops. That is a difficult one. So you'll do what you can, but for most of our larger webinars, we're doing at least 5, 6 email drops over a longer period of time. So we have more opportunities to connect with people. Do note that the week of the event, 46% of registrations come in that week. So you want to have at least 2 drops. The day of is critical. 20% of all registrations happening the day of. And like we'll do a drop first thing in the morning, and then now we're doing the live drop. So that's 2 drops in one day, but completely different type of emails. And so a lot of art and science coming together. Best days to send promotional emails still seem to be middle of the week. Monday's coming back, coming strong. It used to be Monday wasn't as good because people were digging out from email and sort of getting used to things. But now that we're in this new culture of being sort of always on, I don't know that the days thing matters as much as it used to. I'm working pretty much all the time, weekends, nights. I don't really have a life anymore. I'm just working. So I think you can get a little more creative on this. I'm going to push one more poll out, but I'll keep talking as you guys do it because I was really curious about this. What has been the biggest challenge for you in terms of driving registration? Is it creating compelling promotional content? Is it that your webinars are just not interesting enough to capture people's attention for people to register? Is it that you don't have a big enough or targeted enough prospect database, or is it that you think that there's too much competition for your audience? I know you're probably going all of those, Mark. I'm going to force you to choose one. Let's just see where we land with this, and I'll come back to your responses here in a moment. All right, let me jump around just a little bit because there's a couple of really important things that I want to cover off on. Okay. Creating promotional experiences. There are some new things that are going on. Now we have the ability to create custom targeted landing pages as promotions, where instead of just sending an email, you're actually having people open up a landing page where you may be promoting an event, and then maybe you're promoting multiple events, right? One of you asked about that earlier. I think that's going to become a thing increasingly. I do like the idea that it's more experiential, and then maybe you can link people to just content too. Sign up for this upcoming webinar. Here are 2 on-demand webinars that you can binge on right now. Maybe here's a chatbot. Maybe here's a link to a demo. So things are changing, right? And I think we have the opportunity to really rethink what a promotional experience even is. And I think that's something that the future will hold. I asked you guys about your biggest challenge. So I am very fascinated to see that almost 50% of you said creating compelling promotional content was number 1. Your webinars are just not interesting enough, 18%. We don't have big enough database. I thought that was going to win. That's only 17%, and there's too much competition, 15%. I honestly, the too much competition thing, I think those of you who said that, I think you can overcome that challenge. And then for those of you, like, you're not creating compelling content, this is the easiest way to get better. Just great writing, creative writing changes everything, and the art of it all. Content marketing matters, people. For those of you that aren't investing in great content marketers, it's the difference between success and failure with a lot of your programs in some cases. So make sure you've got great writers on staff, or you're outsourcing great writing, because it matters. Social media, I'm not going to say much about this. You'll know all the best things. I think the key here is, how well do you know your audience's social behaviors and preferences? What are the preferred channels? Where are they? What are the day and times that they're most active? Are you building those social relationships? And are you when and where they are? That's the most important thing. Social media, other people can give webinars on that, but test. Figure out where and how your audience responds. That's the most important thing. You know all the best ways to optimize social media. I'm not going to waste time with it. Okay, so we've done all this work to try to get people to click and to register. What happens when they actually click that button, register now? Well, guess what? 50% of the people that say register now don't register now. So we're not done. The registration page. Too many people have a registration page which is just a form. Put the content on the registration page. Make sure your abstract is still on there. Describe your webinar, because all those people that get the form fear need to be reminded why they clicked register now in the first place. Do I have to tell you to limit the gated form? Every field you reduce increases your registration by like 5%, sometimes more. You don't need all that demographic information. You need the engagement data from the live webinar. Just get them in there. Get them in there, okay? Then make sure when you send a confirmation email, there's a calendaring tool to put that event on their business calendar, because if you don't, they won't. And then they're not going to come to their webinar. Reminder emails, there's the basic usual best practices. Do on the day before, do on the day of, experiment with the drop times. You just saw the new thing that we're doing with the 5 minutes after it started. I think that's a really cool one. Consistent, creative across all of your communications, okay? You want to make sure that every email, that every communication, whether it's on social, feels connected, that it's still the same thing, because some people may need a few touches before they register now. And so you want to create that stickiness to this promotion, to this idea, to this event. And the more you do that, the more effective it will be. You know, and for every webinar series that you have, we've got like 20 different serialized webinar programs that we run. They don't have the same creative. That's confusing. So if you're going to get an advertisement for today's series, the Webinar Best Practices series, I think we're going to change the name up to Digital Experiences, it'll look like one thing. But if you get invited to our Digital Deep Dive series, it'll look like another, different branding, different colors. Don't have it all look like one thing. It makes it more difficult. Make sense? Make sense, everybody? Okay. Now, let me share just a little quick last couple of secret sauce ideas that I wanted to share with you. The first one is incentive offers, not really a secret. A lot of us have moved to doing it. Incentive offers work really well. I see some of you in the Q&A asking me about that now. Jonathan, you asked me about that. Samuel asked me about that, a few others. So I'm just going to answer it with this slide because I knew it was coming. We're having great success with it, especially like sending things to people's houses works really well. So for instance, we have one webinar series we called Experiences That Audiences Love. And we do fun things like cooking classes and mixology classes. And we'll, you know, be one of the first 150 attendees, and we'll send you a barbecue kit packed with everything you need to get the party started. It was a webinar about barbecuing. And that worked really well. And so we do a lot of those where we just have special offers. This was the mixology course. And it says on the bottom, I don't know if you can read it, it says, we'll send you a complimentary cocktail kit. The first 300 people to register will receive a $50 gift card to spend on mixers. And the first 100 registrants will attend will receive a home whiskey cocktail kit, whatever. And so they got this cool kit in the mail, and you'd be amazed at how that actually works. Promote one webinar, your next webinar from this webinar. You may remember at the beginning of today's webinar, I said, hey, next month, I'm going to be presenting all about how to, you know, to drive better conversion from your digital experiences, which is what I'm going to be doing next month. So right here, right now. And there's no better way to get people, instead of waiting for me to send you an email, why not tell you about the thing I'm doing next month right now while we're talking together? Don't miss the opportunity to do that. I attend so many webinars where they're never promoting another webinar, and I don't know why. It is a missed opportunity. Link to your webinar hubs. All of you should be creating all kinds of on-demand webinar hubs with content for different industries, with on-demand webinars for, you know, different product lines or different funnel stages, whatever. Make sure you're driving people to content so they can continue to binge on demand, and then maybe have registrations available for upcoming webinars in those hubs. Blogs can be a great way to drive people to webinars. So we'll do a pre-webinar blog post. You know, how challenging is it to get people to attend your webinars? Here are some of the big challenges we face. Come to, you know, sign up for this webinar. Mark's going to be talking all about some best practices. And then after it's over, here's some of what Mark talked about. Here's a link to the on-demand webinar. Use all the tools that you have available to you. And then finally, a look into the future. I've been talking about this a little bit. It's taking slower than I thought to sort of come to fruition. But it is coming. Look, before all this pandemic stuff happened, you may remember the thing we were all, as marketers, freaking out about was GDPR and privacy legislations that were happening all over the world. And eventually, we're not going to be able to spam everybody, and we need to prepare for that. And so a couple of things that are going to happen. Number one, limit the form, reduce the form, get rid of the form. And I honestly think that the form will eventually go away to some degree. but the form is the biggest implement. People are implement. What am I saying? Barrier to success, impediment. And so I think a lot of people are going to replace the form with a button. So here's what a cadence is going to look like. You're promoting to prospects. For somebody you don't know, maybe they get a limited form. But once you have somebody in your database and they filled out any kind of form or you have their demographic information, why do you need it again? You do not. So they should just get a button that automatically registers them for the event. That is it. And if you're not doing that, that is criminally crazy and insane. Like, why would we have them fill out the same form over and over and over again? It's been a disaster for marketing everywhere that this happens, but it does happen. But eventually, we're going to need to change the model. The current model is we send you a promotion, you get to the registration page, you fill out the form, you go to the standalone webinar. Where we're going is we're just going to be building all of this programming, these serialized webinars that are like TV programs that people are going to want to subscribe to. They're going to want to opt into. See where I'm going with this from the legislation perspective? Eventually, you're not going to sign up for one-offs of this webinar. I'm going to enable you to just subscribe to it all year long. And then I'll just send you a reminder email saying, hey, this month we're going to be talking all about this. So come if you like. You're already registered. You're ready to go. We'll send you the links and the reminder emails. Just like Netflix, just like whatever, that's where we're going. And you're going to be consuming content and subscribing to content in different ways. And you're not going to drive registration. You're going to be building up long-term lists of subscribers. That is the future of marketing. That's where we need to go. So people will just get an email saying, hey, this week or this month, we'll be talking all about this. The only button you have is add to your calendar, right? So a few final words. Look, it is an art. It's a science. You need to try everything. I knew I threw a million ideas out at you, and you don't want to try them all at one time. You want to try them one at a time and test them, A/B test them, do it again, refine, change, and don't get, if you find success, then guess what? That success is going to change because you always need to keep innovating and keep changing up. So, all right, there's so much stuff in this webinar. I know I did not leave a lot of extra time for more casual conversation, but I'll stay on for a few more minutes for people that want to continue the conversation. And there are so many questions. Let's just see. Okay, so let me go back to the early ones first. Angela says, is it okay to have a banner that looks like it has a button, but really it's just part of the image? Yeah, absolutely. So if, it could be a fake button and just make the entire banner clickable. Absolutely. That's a really good one. What if you don't have a big list? Well, obviously, so Emily asked that, it is topic number one is list building. But list building is a whole other demand gen conversation. And there are demand gen specialists that are much better than me that can talk about database, building a database and who to buy from and how to be more targeted in that. So I didn't want to cover that. There are much smarter people than me who could talk about that. Alfred said, I hope you're going to be talking about social media. There are social media experts out there in the world too. Okay, so let's see. So many people raised their hand to say they were only sending one email. You're a very honest group of people. I really appreciate it. Well, okay, Courtney says, you mentioned setting up an alias to protect your email account from spam. What do you mean by this? I mean, when you're sending plain text emails, you don't actually want to send it from, like if I sent my plain text emails from my actual business email account, all those on vacation, not, everyone's going to reply directly back. The automated responses are going to come directly back to your email. I don't want that. So you want to set a fake alias up so that it goes into your marketing automation. Your marketing automation tools usually can do this so that you don't interfere with the person that it's coming from, which is really important. Somebody, Bess asked, do we have access to all the email copy examples? Yeah, you can download the slides directly from the resources widget in today's webinar. So you can do that. So many really good questions. The fewer field increases. A couple of you asked about like how bad does each form reduce the number of registrations? There's a million different reports on this, and they all report different numbers. I've seen numbers ranging anywhere from 5% to higher. Like, but just there's just no value in a 12 field form. I just don't think it is good marketing. There's so many other ways that you can do that. Noel asks, any suggestions to convince your leadership that our titles can be more fun, exciting without looking unprofessional? Ask them to enable you to prove it. Just say, give me one webinar and let us create a compelling title. Let us create compelling content, and let's see how it do. Just ask them to trust you, and just say the proof is in the pudding. We're not asking you to, and you can be compelling and creative without being unprofessional. I can be a little crazy because my audience is marketers. But for people that are in financial services, talking about financial services, maybe you can't be an insanely stupid, but you can certainly be human. And you can certainly talk about issues on a human level. And we see really great brands that do amazing marketing at a very human level. And so, thinking that all of my friends at Charles Schwab, who do amazing webinars and who do incredible experiences that feel incredibly human without being silly or stupid. Shout out to you-know-who out there. And then let's see. A lot of people have said they're going to try the plain text webinar, so that's great. All right. Well, we're over time, so if you want to keep sending emails, I'll keep responding to your emails. If you want to leave this open, I'll respond to some more emails here in the next few minutes. Quick reminder: sign up. Please go to the survey. Let us know what you thought about today. Give us some feedback on today's webinar. And then don't forget to sign up for next month's webinar. I'm going to be talking all about how to convert. And that's really going to be important. And I'll try to make you a hero to your salespeople. And if you're interested in learning more about On24, there's demos, there's things you can do. All right. So it was great spending time with all of you, great sharing some tea with all of you, or a gin and tonic. And I just want to thank all of you for attending. We'll see you next month. Thanks, everybody.